here today.
All right. Shall we begin?
Yes.
Great. Invocation. Heavenly Father, please advise us on doing the business of the people. Please remind us of our service responsibilities. Please assist us in all ways to assist the citizens of Horry and Georgetown County in their transportation needs. Amen.
Amen.
Now the flag is back up. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Catherine D'Angelo. Here. Heather Edwards. Darrell Lykoff.
Here.
Wilbert James. Lily Jean Johnson. Here. Martin King.
Here.
Joseph Lazara.
Here.
Rob Sheehan.
Here.
Bernard Silverman.
Here.
Randall Wallace. And Ivory Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great. We have Charles Perry here from the Independent News and 14 other newspapers, I think, if I read it correctly, editor and writer.
Sometimes it feels like more than that.
Well, lately I've been reading your stuff in the Independent News, and you write really very well.
Yes.
I have no complaints at all.
Very good.
Your style, it's a good, yes. And you want to,
Jonathan Brockman is one of our new drivers.
you want to do that in employee recognition?
Actually, sort of, tangentially, yes.
Okay. All right. Do we have
I'm
any,
not gonna steal my own thunder.
do we have any public comment? Other than we should record that Mr. Perry's a great writer. I guess I can step out and be a part of the public for that one. All right. Employee recognition?
Yes, you all are aware that we had our internal bus rodeo over the weekend. And I just want to let you all know who will be representing us in Clemson at the state rodeo. The 40-foot competition, if they'd scored my run through the 40-foot competition, this might have been a little bit different, but Jonathan Brockman and Gary Queen will be representing us, so a little bit of new blood headed to the state competition. And then in the cutaway, we have Benicia Julius and Keisha Hemingway, both of whom are pretty new to the system, but obviously all four of these individuals know how to handle a bus. So I'm looking forward to bringing them out there, and we'll see how we do.
Do we bring our own buses for that?
No, they'll be using Clemson buses.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Brockman, are you an experienced bus driver or are you brand new at driving buses?
I've been driving a bus transit bus for 2 years. We drove Yolis up where I came from in Virginia. And I'd done the rodeo last year. I didn't really make it past our little in-house practice from Harrisonburg, Virginia. So it's kind of like the western side of Virginia.
Benicia.
I think somebody might have dialed in.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
No, we need to have Brian drive the
Yeah, the 40-footer.
40-foot.
I figure I got at least 3 years of bragging on that run. I did pretty well. It's been about 30 years since I've touched a bus and never driven a 40-footer. But I did pretty well.
Right.
I don't know how long I took. I think time-wise, I mean, Jonathan was under the time limit, so he did really well. But I don't know that I made it under the time limit. But
And you with a bad shoulder too.
yeah,
You were in good
figure that out, man.
Yeah.
So it was fun. We had a
Someone
good
said you
time.
made a 92 or something.
Huh?
Someone said you made a 92
A 92?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who was scoring. But, probably good.
Everybody was scoring when you were
Yeah.
driving. It was like a
Little conflict of interest.
I know that Doug was impressed, so that's all
That's
amazing.
good, yeah.
So it was fun. It was a good time, and we all had a good time and good food, and the speedway was good. We had race cars running around like we did for the state rodeo a couple years ago, and so it was a pretty busy place for Saturday. So that's it for employee recognition.
Okay, I think somebody dialed in. Do we have somebody who dialed in?
Michelle.
Michelle?
Yes,
You're here?
yes.
Well, let us know you're here. Don't be too silent over there.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you now. You're fine.
Okay.
Okay. And where in the world are you today?
I'm in New Orleans, wrapping up the public transportation PAI conference.
You've been there all week?
Yeah,
Oh,
today's the last day.
good. Good. A week in New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
And what happens in New Orleans stays in New Orleans. is what
Yes,
I heard.
absolutely.
There's a free Mardi Gras in New Orleans, it's been crazy.
And make sure you go to Pat O'Brien, stage 6.
Oh, yeah, well, we're glad that you're here. All
Oh,
right.
thank you. I'm trying to avoid Bourbon Street.
Actually, I was telling Daryl that we're glad that he's here, but we're glad you're here as well, Michelle. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So move. Second.
And we have had a request to have an executive session, so we will include that in the agenda for personnel matter. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December meeting? Which we have already corrected, by the way. Steve Berry
Actually, from
is not
January.
Steve Berry, but it's Charles Berry. So we've made that correction twice.
I apologize, Charles.
How's your singing voice? Yeah. Steve Perry, lead singer of Journey.
I make a motion that the minutes be approved with the corrections.
As amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Service committee report. We did have a service committee meeting. Ms. Lily Jean, you are on.
I thought we had a productive meeting. I think we heard some good things coming from Brian as well. Beginning with the first item that was on the agenda from last week, the entertainment shuttle. We will have service this year. And I think the schedule is the same, ending at midnight. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We'll be using our same vehicles. Maybe at some point that'll change. And
Get
this
together
week-
with duct tape and chicken wire.
And the projected income for our ads on the bus, $70,000. I don't know how close we are to that.
Yeah, and I think I think we had 60 in the budget, but we should exceed that. Things are starting off well, and I think the biggest takeaway from that discussion is that we've gotten a little bit of an influx of support from the entertainment side of the Hospitality Association. We distributed a letter that being signed by the folks at Lazarus Entertainment and some others, the Ripken Experience, Ripley's, and Burroughs and Chapin. So, and it's a letter designed to go to the city, both the mayor and the city manager, to ask for more support for the shuttle. So we'll see how that goes.
Do letters go out yet?
You know, I'm not sure. Michelle, do you know if they've?
Michelle, have the letters gone out
Distributed?
yet to the
I'm not aware if they have, and to whom, he would have signed those letters. So I don't want to speak out of turn until we're able to certain back up, so.
well, the,
So she'll be checking on that when she gets back to town.
Yeah, absolutely, I'll follow back up, but I don't want to say, we will be signing the letters from the entertainment industry or hospitality industry.
Okay, well, speaking for the board, we're very pleased to see that's being done in a timely way. That's something we've been looking for, we're pleased to see happen.
Does the RTA put any limit on how long and how many miles we can use a vehicle? Does the vehicle ever just get out of service?
Yeah, they're only concerned about the minimum number. You know, you gotta get it to a certain number of years or miles before it meets its useful life. And those numbers are changing. I mean, they're going from 12 years useful life to 14 on heavy duty buses, so that's a number that's on the move. But it's minimum, not a maximum. And those DART buses have the shells, I mean, they probably have well over 1 million miles on them. So, and they're still in good shape for the most
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
So,
They're my favorite bus, I like them better than.
yeah, they're comfortable from a passenger perspective, yeah.
Can we have an update on the bus stop designation project?
Yeah, is that,
I think you said we started with Route 10,
yeah,
14 stops.
and they're gonna be doing Conway Terminal beginning today. So you see some cones out here, we reserved some spots for them. So that's gonna start today. I'm not, a little disappointed they weren't here. Yeah. So yeah, that should be underway. They marked all the locations last Wednesday. They've done all of the underground utility due diligence. Yeah, they should start going in the ground. I know the consultant was thinking by March 6th, those 14 locations should be in the ground.
You know, I think we need a little cleanup here, Ryan, in the entranceway. It looks pretty dirty.
Okay. Yep. So we'll look at trying to get it power washed. Anybody know any good power
That's our
washers?
area where our passengers come to get on the buses.
Right.
We want to clean it.
Yeah, I have a meeting with SED tomorrow
Good.
Appreciate it.
on 501.
There's a few stops down on 501, between Grissom and Seaboard, I guess. There's, South Carolina has some issues, what we think we need and what they think's needed, so he's meeting with them tomorrow.
And we have an agreement going back and forth between us and them to allow us into their right of way and all that stuff, so that's in negotiation as well.
Good.
Well, again, we're very pleased that that project is physically underway, that
Finally.
we're out of the planning stage and into the implementation stage now. Ecolane paratransit scheduling update. It's geek time, Brian, be
Yeah,
happy.
well, I mean, it has not been without its bumps, but Ecolane went into service on February 1st. This is our new paratransit scheduling software. It is real-time based, so it's very strong when you have a trip that isn't scheduled, that you want to fit into the schedule. I think some takeaways for me, and we complicated it by virtue of putting the Loris and Bucksport runs into the paratransit system. It made it a little bit more complicated than maybe we should have. Biggest takeaway for me is that it's identified the fact that we do put 9 vehicles out on the road at the same time, and that is the number of vehicles in our fleet total. That's a bad way to do business. You always want to have spares. So we went ahead and pulled the trigger on a small vehicle that we have under contract with GSATs, with the COG, as an expansion vehicle. So that was one thing. I think from my perspective, I can go on at any point in time and see how the system's doing, how many trips are late, how many no-shows there've been. I can see how the drivers have been scheduled. So it's very powerful from that perspective. It's all web-based, so anybody with a login can go in and check things out. And then it's also crossing off a lot of items on our list, especially from triennial. For instance, it's automatically calculating capacity numbers, or capacity constraints are, which occur. Our peak times are like at 7 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so that's when we have capacity issues. So that's checking off some boxes there.
And the vehicle from GSATs, the money is already obligated and
Yeah.
it's gonna be 100% paid by GSATs.
No, it's 85 GSATs and then 15 will come from the Horry County Capital.
And when will we get it?
It's a Ford Transit, and unfortunately for us, FedEx just ordered 1,000 of them. So it's got a little bit of a lead time, probably 4 or 5 months.
We're
So-
delivering all those Amazon presents.
Right, exactly.
So can we, what do we could do for 4 or 5 months?
Well, we put the caravans into service when we need them. And then, it's only a couple times during the week that we do put the 9 in service, so
Right, so
it's not a huge issue from a maintenance perspective, it's just running a little bit tight. And then the other, I mean, I think from the customer's perspective, the biggest change has been what their pickup time is. When you're scheduling paratransit manually and you're trying to go by ADA regs, you kind of let the customer dictate when they're getting picked up. And a lot of them will give you a pickup time that sort of puts a lot of fluff in their schedule to get them where they want to go at the time that they want to get there. This system, has the ADA regs embedded in it. And the nice thing about it, as soon as they make the reservation, it will predict within a half an hour range, 15 minutes either way, on when we're going to be picking you up. It takes all of the thought process out of that.
So they tell you the time of their appointment, not the time they want to be picked up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's for when you're trying to get somewhere, and then if you're, like leaving a job and you can't leave before 5 o'clock, it takes that into consideration, that we can't pick you up before 5 o'clock.
Does it change there when they have to make the reservation? Is it still 24 hours or does that?
Well,
shorten that?
that's the minimum.
Okay.
They can go as far out as they want, which is nice, and it puts it in there and kind of knows. And the system will tell you if their pickup time needs to change appreciably, so that you can call them and let them know, hey, we need to pick you up at this time in order to get you where you're going. And so that's been a bit of an adjustment for passengers. We try to say, look, you need to tell us when you need to be there. The system is designed to get you there 5 minutes before that, and then you work back on what the ride time limitations are and what the pickup time limitations are, and the system automatically puts that into the thing. So,
Are there complaints from the passengers, or is it just the newness of a different kind of question?
oh no, we've had a few. We've had a few missed trips, but I'm chalking those up to growing pains in terms of how the new system works. You need staff to trust it, and sometimes it's wrong. There's a feedback loop in it where you've got, this stretch of 501 needs 20 minutes of travel time instead of 5 minutes of travel time, and we have to go back in and educate the system on how that schedule works. So it's there's an iterative kind of feedback loop that needs to occur, and that we've been slow in the uptake on that. I think we're moving towards that. And then the other thing is the big thing I wanted it to do was to design out these big gaps in service for drivers. I don't want someone to have to work 14 hours in the day to get 8 hours of pay because they're sitting around. So at the very least, we haven't eliminated all those, but we can send somebody home if they've got a 3 hour block and then reschedule their trips that are later on, those types of things. But I think, I can see where we still don't have that critical mass of trips to eliminate those gaps. So, we've got time for, putting more people on the bus. We set a record in January for total number of passengers, and just the demand for that service continues to rise. So I think this is coming in the nick of time to help us try to control our costs.
And if passengers don't feel confident getting there when we say we're gonna get them there, they can give us an earlier time, and then it's on them.
Well, yeah, but, if that's their prerogative, but we're trying to let them know how the system works. We're about to set up the texting function, so they can get a text on when the bus is gonna be headed their way. So that'll help improve the convenience of it. And then, the other thing is we've got some drivers who are used to using paper and used to doing the trips the way that they used to do them, and, it's like, look, don't think. Just do what the tablet says. Just do what the tablet says, and if it's wrong, it's on the tablet. Don't worry about it. So it's, that's been a bit of a lift.
How live is it for things like where a bridge is out, you've got to go somewhere different for an extended period of time? Is it our responsibility to put that into the?
You have to educate the system, but like we've taken the 501 business bridge out of the mix,
Yep.
so it won't schedule across there.
Okay, all right.
Now they're, in 905, they're paving the road.
Yeah.
Of all times.
You mentioned capacity limitations, capacity and the size of the vehicle or the time compression of multiple riders at the same time?
Well, it's never, having a one passenger per hour type of,
That's why the,
yeah,
Our
we're
vehicles
not
were-
filling up the vehicles,
I
but
didn't think so.
But it's more geographic. You've got 9 vehicles in 9 different geographic
Right.
locations, and you can't add a 10th.
But you heard me say before, all of our vehicles are bigger
Right.
than many times are needed, but
So this
Okay.
this Transit that we purchased is a small one. It's going to be I think it's a 7 passenger. It has a wheelchair position. It goes down to 4. So it's the short Transit. So I'm anxious to get that in the system and check it out and see how it operates.
You could rent out some for pizza delivery or something, add on a second business for that.
Right.
What'd you say, with four passengers?
Well, it's 7, but if you put someone in a wheelchair in it, it goes down to 4 ambulatory. Because it takes up 3
Just takes up
spots.
3
What
spots.
route would you put it
It's on paratransit.
on Fairfield?
It's for paratransit.
Yeah, okay.
So on the Lawrence and Bucksport route that are on the paratransit side now, how do we count that expense in those riders? Are they paratransit riders?
No, they're still fixed route. It's just we're doing them with small vehicles. And it just made sense to me with some of the downtime in the paratransit system that, and the next item up on the agenda here is moving Loris and Bucksport to what's called a flex route or a route deviation. And that is, that's basically one vehicle doing the work of both the fixed route and the paratransit system on those routes. We're gonna be doing some public meetings. We may do a couple of alignment adjustments based on ridership to date, but with an idea of getting, making that service permanent sometime, probably June 1st. We'll go to a flex route, and so we have some work to do on how we're scheduling it, because it's a little bit complicated when you're trying to get this thing to leave here at a certain time consistently and still be able to perform a deviation along the route, and still meet the fixed route time. So we've got some work to do on the planning, but we're gonna go out and see how people like the service and what kind of changes they would like, and is that midday trip scheduled at the right time, those types of things. So
And you can't leave early unless the deviation's at the beginning.
well, yeah, I mean, you still can't leave the Hills Grocery Store or the Fraser Community Center, before it's time, so, and we're looking at the possibility of going further into Bucksport. And so that's got some, I think we have time in the schedule to do it, but that opens up a pretty big door if we're doing a flex route.
And what's your limitations on driver ability and bus? It's like 15 passengers, and then you have to go over.
Yeah, we have to go up. If it gets higher than that.
Most of us had a
That's a
chance
good problem to have.
Most of us had a chance to see the online version of all of this, how it's all packed in. Just about everything Brian has been describing the last 10 minutes is actually on a single screen, which is really impressive in terms of being able to grasp anywhere the system is and for any of our existing routes. It's really nice.
It's pretty nifty.
Michelle, I told Brian earlier, I want to go to one of the public meetings at North Bucksport and Loris. When you get those 3 set up, let me know when they are. I'll pick one of these locations.
Yeah, that will be a problem once we get everything scheduled. And, speaking of Laura, and I said this to Brian right before the meeting, Mayor Nichols passed away yesterday.
Who did?
The mayor of Loris.
Oh, the mayor of
Has been
Loris.
fighting cancer for a while.
Yeah.
So that was sad news.
Okay. We have moved up to Bucksport Loris, so let's continue on with that conversation.
Yeah, I don't know that I have much more to add, except that, we're,
Just that you're committed to a permanent plan.
yeah,
Well,
looking at, some innovative ways to provide the service, without having to send 2 vehicles up there every day. I mean, there might be a day where we do need to send a paratransit van up there, or down there, but, yeah, the SC Works grant has obviously run its course. We've got, good survey data on usage, so we're gonna go out and talk to the people about, what kind of changes we'd like to make and what kind of changes they'd like to see, and see where the chips fall.
Okay. Anything else on service and PAC committee? No? How about finance committee?
Yeah, so I think most of us were.
Marvin, we
in that
moved you
committee.
to the middle of the table.
I see, so I'm
So that you
tossing a
can-
little bit lower, so I can get to the front,
This is,
eventually,
so
so I'm
that-
moving my way up.
This is because you're not,
All we wanted was your voice.
You weren't
but
coming up
we'll get
on,
the rest of you.
yeah.
You're never in the minutes
Oh,
because
so-
I can't hear what you say.
There you go. Alright, well, I'll speak into the microphone. So I think most of us were in the room when we had our discussion, but we had three major pieces, budget, audit, and financials. As we discussed the budget, there were a few items that we felt needed to possibly be adjusted as we saw them creeping up and maybe moving something around in the budget just to kind of equalize everything out. So those three are there for you, the fare box, and talk a little bit about things that came out of the FMO and the insurance. So Brian, do you want to kind of?
What's your goal when you want a budget change, you imagine?
Well, I know it won't be in March. I think, now that Ron's sort of back, he and I need to really think about, bounce some ideas off of each other and think about it. So I'm thinking April.
June?
April.
April.
Possibly May.
Okay.
And I, just to give everybody sort of a rundown, we're still concerned about cash, especially as we get right before payments from the county. So we're still looking at that sort of downstream. And I don't have a lot of details on that. We're still trying to rope in where our labor costs are. That's probably the biggest hitter as it relates to cash. The FMO finding, as it relates to the two internationals out there, it has a resolution. I gotta get a letter out. I'll probably be writing the letter today on the bus on the way. Get some stuff done. We're going to the legislative reception tonight. But I need to get it out this week, so we'll get that squared away. And that involves essentially buying two new medium-duty cutaways. These are, they're gonna look a lot like our normal paratransit vehicle, but longer, and they have heavier duty suspension. The price point on them is around $85,000 to $90,000. And we'll have to buy those with all local funds. We've got a little bit coming from Georgetown. So I gotta find those local funds in the budget, in order to pull this off. We won't be able to pull over the entire amount of federal interest because the amount of federal interest in the outgoing buses is about 106 to 107,000. So we can pull, but one's 100% bus and one's a 98% federal portion bus. So we can take 100 or 98%, depending on which bus you're talking about, of the amount of the purchase over. And then we'll use the proceeds from the disposal of the international buses to basically send a check to FTA for the remaining interest.
I think you mentioned you were gonna put all the bells and whistles on the two buses that you're gonna buy, because otherwise you're just turning money back to the Fed. So the closer you can bring those two price points, what we're selling and what we have, the less we have to pay back.
Exactly. So yeah, we're gonna spend a little bit more on the buses rather than send a check to FTA.
Well, when a few years ago, you said that the fleet was our biggest problem, I think, when you started and stuff. Now, with what we have and what we have coming and what's coming down the line and stuff, how would you characterize our fleet?
I think the fleet's, certainly the paratransit fleet is in great shape. The DART buses are kind of a little bit money pits, but I think in general, I mean, they're pretty reliable. We're putting a lot of miles on the new buses, but I think it's obviously way better than it was when I got here. So we'll just, I'm excited to take in two new flyers and replace navies, replace DART buses. So we're already started on getting rid of those. So, you know, obviously our biggest issue now is the facility. Less so the fleet and more the facility.
It's nice that you're a predictable GM. I was thinking in my mind, I hope he says facility. You know, it's good for all of us to be able to understand, you know, what keeps you awake at night and what keeps you going.
Well, this place is falling apart. It was falling apart, it's been falling apart for a number of years, but it's really falling apart. And the
Long
doors,
before we bought it.
doors are falling off and
We need a new place.
it's bad. So we're getting to that as soon as we can,
On the other hand, the plumbers are to be credited. The work they did out in that front
It
lobby,
doesn't look too bad.
it doesn't look bad at all. You could not tell that there was that much devastation that went through there.
Yeah.
Do either one of these new cutaways qualify for 5310 money from GSATs?
Well, this was in my GM's report, which is very short, but we'll make it a little shorter now. Go ahead and address that. This bus that we just went ahead and ordered from the GSAT's contract, we were intent on finding money for another bus to replace the 2 buses we got from state surplus a couple of years ago. Those are back there still running, and they're doing great, 386 and 387. But now that this one bus that we're ordered now is gonna be an expansion bus, we are going to apply for 5310 to replace those 2. So,
I said it for Rob at the last GSATs meeting, they have $300,000 they haven't spent yet. If I understand, 5310 is more for,
5310 is elderly and disabled
Yes.
transportation.
so if we ever use those on those paratransit routes,
That's basically been the source
they would
of all.
qualify.
I think 2 of those buses were 5339, which is bus and bus facilities, but the rest were all 5310,
But they have $300,000 they haven't awarded yet.
right?
Okay.
So I feel pretty good that we'll get
Oh,
that.
good.
So we put in for longer, a little bit bigger transits. About, the price point on those is about 65,000 a piece. And that application's already in the GSATs.
Oh, okay, good.
And they will replace the 2 buses that we got from surplus that we spent, I don't know if y'all remember, we spent $4,500 a piece on them, and they've been game savers.
Those are the ones with the little odd color.
Yeah.
Marvin, you want to guide us? Do you want to take us
Yeah.
to Fairbox or what?
Yes, so I think with Fairbox, we just discussed some of the hiccup with connection, but I think that was fixed. Is there any updates? Have you seen any other problems out of that?
No, I mean, we did have this issue with the probe, which is the little gizmo that they use to download data from the fare boxes out there when they're washing them. That's been fixed, but we did have sort of an exorbitant number of free rides in January, and we need to work on that. But I'm confident for a little bit of investment. It hasn't really been that much of an investment to sort of move towards this component interchange system for fare boxes. I think I showed Daryl Candace's room with all of the ticket changers and all the things lined up. So we now, if we know what component has gone down in the bus, we can even send it out, and supervisors have been trained to switch them out. So with the idea that if a fare box goes down, we're not taking the bus out of service yet, but we are getting it repaired as soon as possible on route.
On rail. Oh,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
good.
Okay, do you have any?
No.
The only other budget thing I just want to mention is the insurance reserve fund, which is on here. They're hitting us with another double-digit increase in premiums. It's basically spending the money that we saved last year. And I did rip off a little bit of a letter to them, and as soon as I emailed it, I got a call from them about 20 minutes later. So they obviously got it. They wanted to explain why the way they did things the way they do things, and I totally get it. I mean, it's all sort of a reactionary way of providing insurance, and they are the best game in town. I've asked for private insurance to try to match what they do, and they can't do it. They can't do it. So it is what it is. But I do think that some reform is warranted on doing that to smooth things out a little bit, because as a public agency dealing with double-digit increases in premium, it's a $28,000 hit to the budget beginning in August. And so they ought to be able to do a little better planning. And so I will hit up with Luke Rankin and others that are on insurance committees, it's like, you guys need to look at this. Because, I mean, and they're hitting those coastal, clients harder because of the hurricanes. And I get it, but come on.
Senator
Give me a
Embry,
3% increase every
Senator
year.
Embry is also on transportation committee, so we can talk to him tonight.
Yeah. So that was something else on my GM report is what we're gonna be talking to the legislators about tonight, but that's one of them.
So all that, I think we talked about on the budget. We then talked a little bit about the audit and where we're at there. Do you wanna?
Yeah, audit is moving. Ron and I are beating our head against that brick wall that is the OPT schedules. Feels good when you stop. So we're working on that, and I think they're still waiting on one last thing on the Rescue 68, on the pension stuff. So we are looking at pushing all of those proceedings to March. We should have something for Finance Committee in March to look at, a draft, and we'll price, I mean, it should be well before that, so we'll send it out.
Yeah.
And no indication of any issues whatsoever, which is wonderful news. So the only thing that's left out there is whether or not we go to low risk or not. And I kind of think that'll happen next year, but.
Do we have the auditor come to this meeting? I know we've done that at
They
least
have in
once.
the past, they have in the past.
Yes.
But if there's no findings, I don't know that there's any
No, I
reason
don't
for
think we
them to
need
do it.
to, just to sit, take 2 hours to hear nice things about you.
Right, as much as I would love to do that, but,
We already know it.
right, so
Or you're
we'll
wrong.
see, I mean, that's up to you, that's at the pleasure of the board. If you guys wanna talk to them, you're more than welcome to talk to them.
I think we'd only be interested in talking if there was a problem that we need to know about.
Right, and I would want them to come and
Yeah.
help us through it as well, so. But that's really good news, and
Well, who decides on the low risk? Is that the auditor?
it's a dependent on repeat findings.
Yeah.
So if you determine that the FY16 findings were repeat findings, I think you gotta go 3 years without any repeat findings. So I haven't wanted to, or have I looked at the 16 audit? You guys know our sob story on that. So if they determine that those findings were not repeated from previous years, and then you've got 2 clean audits, then this year they can go ahead and move us to low risk. If they do see those as repeat findings, then we go to next year. And if we do like we did this time, even if we had a finding, it could still go to low risk. And all that does is change what they're looking at, how much data they have to pull, those types of things.
Yeah, you get less sampling if you're low risk, and it's a credibility thing.
Yeah, that helps with the banks.
Well, let's just make sure that everyone understands that this is not the same risk of SCDOT of several years ago. That was taken away.
Yeah, that's already been,
Yeah, that's several years gone already.
now it's just a confidence thing more than anything else.
Okay. January financials?
Yeah, so I think we, a few things that we looked at, I think 3 that really stood out, and we continue to monitor salaries and see where they hit. Telephone, not really, but it does pop up. We did talk a little bit about why that was there.
Yeah, and I've looked at telephone, and I'm not sure that I have the complete story, but there is about 2,000 in that 6,000 that is a one-time expense. And it's money that's coming from the EcoLane contract. So actually, I could put 2 million into the, or 2,000 into the budget. I wish I could.
2 million?
Do it. I think we do need to get what I do need to get a handle on is we made several changes with our phone system. We added the Myrtle Beach Transit Center as its own entity. It's not dialing into Conway. I mean, this is all voice over IP, so it's all internet phones. So now they're going straight to the internet. So we essentially doubled basically our monthly expense on phone, which was about $430 a month. So that's now $860. So that, and I had that in the budget, so that should have been in the budget. But what we also did is we added the recording feature, which has a data plan associated with it. And I'm not sure that we're paying the correct amount on that, so we got to go back and check with Spirit and make sure that we're doing that right. But that does have an expense associated with it. And then the other thing is we're paying $200 a month for the data plan for the new tablets on paratransit. So that's in there now. But we were budgeted for $5,800 a month, and we had $5,120 in expenses from last year per month. And we've definitely gone past the $5,800, obviously. So we'll try to get you some more details on that. But and I just want to make sure we're paying what we're supposed to be paying, and if I need to dial it back, I will.
I thought that instead of Spirit, I thought we had HTC.
HTC provides internet and cable TV. That's like
Not the telephone?
they are providing the internet for the telephone, but not the telephone service. They are also providing long distance on the telephones. So we pay for long distance to HTC through Spirit.
Really?
It's a complicated
Good.
web that we weave.
One of them owns the other.
But Spirit is more expensive than HTC usually.
Not for
Not
not
for the,
not
not
for
for business, right?
nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right,
have a-
nonprofit, right.
Yeah, so and that's one thing I want to investigate. I'm paying for internet straight to HTC. I don't want to pay for internet again
Yeah,
through Spirit. So I'm
Right.
gonna check on that.
yeah, right.
And the other thing is
You
the
could make a
cash
note on
requirements.
that, just get back to us at the next
Yeah.
board meeting.
Yeah, the cash requirements got a little scary. I think it was April gets a little scary. If we,
Yeah, we haven't moved
yeah, that.
any
beginning of
federal
April.
money up to
Yeah.
cover that, so. It'll be interesting to see what that next payment is from the county. We're expecting $515,000. But they gave me indications that it's doing better than that.
When does that come?
Georgetown is gonna go up to $32,000 in July per month. Because right now we're working on a 10-month deal on the user fee, we're gonna go to 12 months. So
We
that'll-
still get quarterly payments, not monthly from the counties?
Horry County's paying quarterly, and Georgetown wants to go monthly, so actually, in
That's
in
good.
April, they're gonna go monthly.
Without us asking.
That's better.
That was their preference.
Good, I think.
So the way that's set up is we're getting the same amount every month, and then there's a correction on July 15th every year. However, which way that goes. So, I think they've been pretty steady on user fees.
Is it possible that correction is on the negative?
Possible.
So we would have to repay it or?
Well, and then it would lower the amount that we get on July 15th.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
I don't think it's gonna be that far off,
Yeah.
that it would be, sending them a check.
So we're working on the federal year and they're working on the state, is that right?
Correct.
And you've got a
It's
CMB.
the bane of my existence.
You how much did you pay off on the debt, on the CMB debt?
We did 15,000 in January and February.
That's great.
So we're keeping the payment at 7,500 for the time being, just so we can keep an eye on cash. But if we can do it, I think we're going to be looking at sort of not balloon payments, but a little extra when we have the cash to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Those are the only things that really stood out from the financial list. What else? Want to talk about anything else we discussed?
Well, let's go to KPIs just for a second. It was mostly, on-time performance has been pretty good. I just wanted to give a shout out to Tom Berta and his crew. 42 breakdowns in the last 12-month period. In-service breakdowns is pretty doggone good. And I went back and looked at the same time period in 2017, and it was 42. So they're pretty consistent, and I think obviously the fleet improvements have helped, but you still got to be vigilant and stay on top of things. And our maintenance cost per mile is pretty good, $1.27 for the year. That's pretty solid.
Keeping breakdowns at the same while you're increasing your mileage is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you can down a bus for anything. You can down a bus for a bad wiper. You can down it, any kind of safety thing.
They're not gonna be, not 42 buses on the side of the road broken.
Right.
We still have
So
57
these are breakdowns that required a service interruption.
What
so-
are our complaints about?
Complaints are
Just
still
general idea.
totally 75% of them are, this driver picked me up here, that driver won't pick me up here.
Yeah, that's not a complaint.
So, we're working on that. We're working on the long-term solution on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Signs will be
So,
the answer to that.
signs are the answer.
The other thing is, one more thing, there seems to be a time, not in the near recent future, that there were a lot of breakdowns on wheelchair lifts. And I've seen one in the last year or so. And they managed to do it manually, by cranking it.
Yeah, they have a manual function.
Yeah.
Those in the stairwell lifts in the DART buses are hard to deal with in general. But, the ones, obviously that's a nice thing about a low floor on the new cars, it's just a ramp, that thing doesn't break down.
We're not showing any breakdowns on the demand response. Would a breakdown in the lift show as a breakdown?
Sure. I mean, we're really, it's all new equipment.
Yeah.
For the most part. So I think, I'll put most of the credit for that on the fact that we have new equipment.
Yeah.
Did you get that bus fixed yet? The one that was in the accident?
1504 is back in service.
Great, good.
In fact, that was the one that was out of the rodeo. So it was good.
Oh, good.
I drove 1504, it drove like a dream.
Really?
No walls jumped out or trees jumped out?
No, just cones bouncing around. You want to try to hit them just right so you can get somebody in the shins.
All right, you've already given half your general manager's report, we may as well move to get the rest of it. Are we done, Marvin?
Yes, we're done, yes, thank you.
Item 11.
Yeah, this is gonna be really quick, because we've already talked about applying for 2 more transits. Of the 5310, that application's in.
Darryl stole your thunder on that.
We are on schedule for December arrival for the 2 new flyers. I think the beauty of this is that Tom is gonna have to go to St. Cloud, Minnesota in November. Love it. And that is interesting. These 2 new buses are not gonna be built in Alabama, they're gonna be built in Minnesota. So that'll be, see if there's any differences related to that. I already talked about the rodeo, we had a great time. Thanks to everybody who worked it, Doug, Casper, Darrell was one of the drivers. We busted our gut doing the, we had 4 people basically doing all the judging, running around out there. So.
And you had good weather.
Yeah, it was decent. It was a little chilly in the morning, but it warmed up.
Who
so it
did
was
the
pretty nice.
cooking? That's one.
Glover.
Okay.
John Glover did the cooking, so he was out there and it was great. So, task meeting coming up in March. It's in Clemson this year, so it's that third or fourth weekend in March. So yes, I don't know that we need a service committee meeting in March, unless you all want to talk about something, but I would like to reschedule those committee meetings, because I need to get to Clemson that Wednesday.
That's good, because I couldn't be here.
So if you all want a service committee, we maybe need to move it up a week, or maybe do finance before the board meeting in
Well,
March.
you could do a service report at the board meeting as well. I'd like to hear how the signage is going at that point, but I'm happy to have that be done in the context of the full committee meeting, or the full board meeting.
You're okay with it?
Task is Thursday, March 31st.
So at the board meeting, you're on it?
So it is that committee meeting week.
So the
So
20th, you're going to
So this kind of a board meeting,
Might be in,
So I'd like to do the finance committee before the board meeting on the
so you
28th,
cancel the 20th and move it to
yes,
the next
if
week.
that's possible.
I do a service report in the.
So what you're gonna do, you're gonna have 2
Committee
committee meetings and a board meeting that day?
We're just gonna have 1 committee meeting and a board meeting that day.
and then we'll
Or
have
just finance?
So 8:15,
Updates on service.
8:15 finance.
All right, and
and
no service?
no service committee.
What date is that, 27?
27.
All right,
27,
and we're gonna find out about the
27.
Fridays during the board meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
27th is the board meeting.
Harder than it has to be. And so then the only other thing I want to mention is Darrell and I will be headed out to Columbia this afternoon. We're riding the chamber bus to go to their legislative reception this evening. And it's really funding and insurance. That's on my list. I don't know if there's anything else on your list, Daryl, that you want to
No.
chat about. But I definitely want to see how
Yeah.
Greg Embry's doing and
Russell Fry is the new vice chair of GSATs. He got elected last meeting. And I'd like to just congratulate him on that.
yep,
Been filling that
Hopefully they'll be
capacity, I
there.
think, anyway.
hopefully they'll all be there, so that's
And
just a
Stephen
good opportunity.
Goldfinch still president again. Goldfinch
There's a-
and Fry now.
There's a new rep from North Myrtle Beach who I've seen at a couple of meetings when I went to Columbia with Grace. At meetings that he was not any part of, he was just there.
Who's that?
His name is Bailey.
Did he take over for
He
Duckworth?
took over for Duckworth.
I didn't realize
Oh.
Duckworth had gotten voted
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he seemed,
Bailey?
I think his name is Bailey, you might check it, but he was at meetings that he was, just there for his interest and for his education.
He's,
So I thought he
he's
was-
council, he's
No,
council.
he's State House.
Oh, yeah, right, you're right, the other, yeah.
So there is a transportation committee meeting coming up in March that I'm not sure we are on the agenda, but I'll definitely let you all know when that's happening and.
Please do, yeah.
And I will go just to answer questions, because I haven't seen the new committee or any of
Well, at
that.
some point, they'll turn their attention toward us, and we need to be prepared for when that is.
Yeah, 'cause they have a new chair.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a 5-minute break and then come back into general manager's report. I'm sorry, come back into executive session.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Brian,
Yes.
Could I have a motion to come out of executive session? No decisions were made, no votes were taken.
I make a motion, come out of executive session.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are now up to old business, and I think old business is bylaws, or could be new business, but it's something that happens so often, we should just turn it over to Miss Kitty.
I
Okay.
think you guys ought to adjourn
Yeah.
and start your bylaws committee meeting.
Yeah, after,
Yeah.
right.
Good point, thank you.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
this is why I'm gonna work myself out of this job. Miss Lynette did give me a Robert's Rules of Order, but I have one next to the bed, and it does a great job of putting me to sleep.
Tom come back.
So,
He did,
Is there any
he turned it
I
on.
know he's gonna turn it off.
would I have
okay.
a motion for the full board to adjourn?
I have one new item. I'm gonna come in, the new carpet in the room looks very nice. But we still have 7 ceiling tiles. And still
May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
If the place is gonna blow up,
Second.
I'm fixing it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got
Okay. Those who want, you want to take a break, or do you want to, no, okay. Those who, going to open up the bylaws. the
Does
bylaws-
everybody have a copy of it?
No, I don't. Mine got-
These are the same as I read online though?
Yes, same one, same one.
Okay, yeah.
Same one that we all have copies of, right?
They're here,
Alright.
I saw them.
We've had, I sent an email out to all of you, and, let's see, I got, Daryl, was happy with the 2 changes that we discussed.
I responded to that also.
Yes, and so did
I
Joe.
want you to say Robert responded.
Rob responded, right. Bernie, of course, responded with a 2-page whatever, so we can. we're gonna
27
start-
page if it's.
We're gonna start with the first 2. The first 2 was the Article 7, the Section 2A, to be changed.
I suggested go page by page. After I responded, I found changes on 5, 8, page 12, 14,
And you did not notify me.
I didn't think
Okay.
until last night, man. I tried to call you last night, but I don't want to wake up Lou at 11 o'clock.
You wouldn't wake up anybody in our house.
I feel it's true that we did have.
Okay.
I am up until 2 or 3 in the morning, and Lou doesn't answer the phone, so.
Article 7.
Just so everybody knows,
All right.
Because he's doing
I'm
the song.
recording this because I don't want to miss anything.
All right, so we're gonna start on page 2.
What, two?
Page 2.
Put on page, table of contents.
Oh, you wanted to start with the page
We're
number?
going to have something on that.
All right, okay,
I'm just suggesting that we take off that no
Page one.
longer in use
all right,
and move things around so that it,
all right.
So they're in all
What do you
order.
suggest?
The way the program is set up on the computer, when I go in and make changes throughout the document, then I can update the table of contents with one button, and it will change according to what's listed in here.
You are a
So
technology
don't have
beauty.
to change. Brian taught me that. Thank you. It's
He's
come in,
beautiful.
it's come in handy too.
So what do you say, Bernie?
It's
Yeah, that's fine with me, I just
Yeah,
think
so
it's,
if you make a
Yeah.
change to a
All right, all
header.
right, all
No
right.
longer in use.
Let's go to page, let's
It
go to page
automatically-
No
two.
longer in use, we're taking out.
Yes,
All
all
right.
right, page two. You have any changes on page two?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we know that we are an RTA? Because I've had Arrigo
Are you?
tell me on a number of occasions that we're not officially an RTA.
You had
Would
who?
Arrigo,
karate.
We are
Karate,
too.
the attorney for the
The
county.
county.
And I,
Yeah, we got an RTA,
I can find the file with
We
all
have
the
a
paperwork
license,
in
don't
it.
we have a license for that?
you know, I'm not sure if we're licensed necessarily.
No, it's
I-
not
Yeah.
licensed, but I have all the paperwork
Okay.
yeah.
in a
we
folder.
gone
I
through-
just have to
yeah.
find the
I've never,
files now.
I've never really looked at it and wondered if I need to have an attorney investigate it.
Yeah, as far as I know, we put in the regular paperwork.
It's like 99,
It went
1999
into the,
timeframe.
Yeah.
went into, Federal Transit.
Did you have to update it every year?
You don't have to update it every year.
No, I just asked,
Oh, yeah.
for you.
Okay. Well,
I'll
I'll,
find the file with all
Well,
of the documents
maybe he
in it.
doesn't know that much about transit.
well, and maybe well, that's a possibility, but, you know, maybe I have an attorney say,
Maybe he won't be around
yes, we
much
are an
longer.
RTA.
Yeah, it was all went through and.
Yeah,
We
Kinda
have the
waiting to see what
paperwork.
the solicitor
I
determines.
I'll find the file.
All right.
Okay.
If the
You
solicitor
can always
pays,
show the file to
Mhm.
the
Just as a
attorney.
graph.
right?
it's like
Absolutely.
everything in Article 4 is right out of the enabling legislation, so.
So you're on page 3
And four.
and 4, okay.
All that's right out of the,
Yep.
right out of the legislation.
could we just ask, what is the first page someone has a change on?
I have
The first page was Article 8.
I have a question for the page 5.
Yes,
Yes,
wait a minute, wait a
my
minute. We're
We're
we're on
going too
page
fast.
3. What did we get on page 3? Anything?
Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Three past 3
Page
and 4.
4.
Yeah, I had something on section 2, I don't remember what it was, oh, the Q. What did I have there? Oh, that's
Q.
page 5.
Q is not on 4.
Yeah, that's page 5.
All right, and page 5 is
Just a
is
continuation.
Q.
Yeah.
Provide transportation service for residents of the service area to destinations outside the service area as necessary. And you had a question on that.
Yeah, I'm just asking, what we do that for, what do we do that? Is that like for someone
Well,
going
you
to
did
Columbia
it.
for a meeting or something?
No, there was service to Charleston at one point, there's,
We
if
did
you
have
ever
that.
did any Medicaid transportation, you could go out of region for that. Obviously, I don't know that
Do you
we
want to keep
consider
that
it
in there, or do
necessary
you
at
want
this
to
point.
omit it? Do you
Hurricane
want to-
service?
No, that's fine with me, I
I
just
think-
wondered what it was.
I think that's right out of the legislation.
It is.
Most
So
of
we,
these,
so it
the
just
whole
authorizes us
article
to
is-
do it if it's necessary.
most of
Okay.
this, when we did this over 18 years
Mhm.
ago, it was from the legislature, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're not going to admit Q? We're going to
No,
just
no, I don't,
keep
I
that
never,
in?
yeah, I just had a question about it.
I have a question on page 5, paragraphs T, U, and V. Educate me, what the hell is the Waccamaw Regional Planning and Development Council, and how often they meet, who's on it?
This is GSATs, it says.
Well, no, it says GSATs and, that's my question. What-
I think that must be referring, I thought it referred to COG, which GSAT is a part of the COG.
Yeah,
Okay, I
it's-
understand that, but then the word COG's nowhere under here.
No, and it doesn't call it the Regional
I'm just-
Council of Governments.
And we have it in 3 different paragraphs,
I
you
wonder
refer
if
to
they've
this.
changed their name over the years and we just haven't updated it.
That may
I think
be.
that should, I think it just should say Council of Governments.
Yeah,
That would make sense to me.
Plan and read.
Mhm.
But now it is Council of Governments?
That may be a change, because
I don't know what
Beside the
letter.
GSATs, right?
This is
It's
letter
T.
T on page 5.
T?
Yep,
T, like in Tom.
U and V, it's
Yeah.
3 different times.
yeah, that should be COG, I think.
All right,
That's what the COG used to be called.
all right,
Right.
COG,
Okay, gotcha.
all right,
Good catch.
all right.
Okay, so we're gonna keep,
GSATs,
restaurant area, blah, 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 GSATs,
no,
and change Waccamaw Regional
to county.
to Waccamaw Regional Council of Government?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would go ahead and do
No,
the, I would go ahead
No,
and do.
no, 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 we're going to we're gonna change to the county of we're gonna change to the COG.
No,
Waccamaw Regional
That's Waccamaw Regional
That's
Council of
Government.
Governments,
Oh, okay, all right.
And
So in that first iteration, call it the Council of Governments and then put WRCOG afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you can do a WRCOG down the rest of the
Exactly.
page.
And it's not V, it's actually W, I think, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So V is okay, W.
TU,
Yeah.
TU and W.
Yeah, oh, yes,
So V should be fine as W.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
right.
Council Board of Directors. Okay, all right, number 6, page 6, Article 5, Board of Directors. Okay,
I have something on page 7 if we're there.
all right.
Oh, we're
Are we on 6
Page,
still?
page
Yeah,
6,
6 was okay.
page 6 is okay.
Why are
And
they
there's
listed?
nothing on here on page 6 about, and I think we took it off a couple of years ago, about if you missed 2 or more meetings, et cetera, et cetera.
That's farther in.
Oh, it's still,
I think
further
it's-
in? I thought we took it out, I thought we took it out, all right.
Darrell, did you have a question on page 6?
I just curious, some people get paranoid when they're listed, why is City of Conway listed first and City of Georgetown the second from the bottom? I'm just curious, nothing's alphabetical.
There's no rhyme or reason.
You
And-
might
or-
why just sleep at night and not read this damn thing.
I'm glad I did, I learned lots of stuff.
I can put them in
last night.
any order you
So
want.
I'm just
and if
curious,
that
why
makes a
are they
difference-
the way they are? So it'll make-
You're
The
starting
numbers
with-
are right, 1 and 1 and 3 and 3 makes sense, I'm just curious.
Excuse me, you're starting with city, so,
Well, City of Georgetown is second from the bottom.
all right.
Let's go ahead and
so-
put those in alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order, all right.
People get pissed off when they're listed at the bottom and they're, why I'm not
Or
The
listed.
only
County-
people that see this is
Horry
us.
County is at the bottom,
Permanent job security for Lynette. Okay.
all right.
Oh, good.
Okay, we're on page,
Let's see, directors will make every effort to retain,
lifted like that.
D,
Did you
directors-
No, all we did was change the numbers.
We live in Conway, that's why it's first.
D, directors will make every effort to attend regular scheduled meetings of the board of directors, may be removed for misconduct of continuing reason. That's the whole thing was before by governing body, right. all
We
right.
changed that, we revised
We
that
revised that.
last time we did the changes.
Okay,
we took out the thing about missing 3 meetings.
yes, we
Yeah.
did, we did.
Mhm.
Now, page 7,
Yeah, I would like to edit section 4, regular meetings, to accurately depict what we do now. That last sentence, I'm not sure when we would ever have a meeting outside of the state of South Carolina. And I don't like the language there within or without the state of North Carolina, South Carolina. So, but I propose that we strike that and then we put some language in here that allows us to cancel a regular meeting, which we've done from time to time, as well as mention the combined meeting we do around the holidays. It's really, and then we could do this a number of ways. We could say we're meeting 10 times a year, which is what we do.
and we can switch it around, it doesn't have to be any certain months.
Right.
Because years ago, it used to be November, December, we didn't meet, and lately it's been August, we didn't meet.
Right, we do one meeting in the summer,
combined
then
And
a
one,
combined
and then
meeting.
one in December,
December.
beginning of December.
So
yeah.
Does section 5 not
Just
cover
say that we
part of
need-
that? Special call or rescheduled meetings?
Yeah, but it doesn't talk about,
Yeah, but
canceling.
they're like committee meetings, I think, or meetings of the board may be held upon.
Well, we just simply say special called, rescheduled, or canceled meetings of the board.
Well, when we cancel it, we always reschedule it though.
not
Why don't you
necessarily.
just end it
Not
at,
always, not always.
shall provide by resolution, period.
No, I think Brian is right. It
This is
says
talking
regular
about
meetings,
board
so let's
meetings,
say when
so-
our regular meetings are.
Yeah, I think
Later in-
Lynette and I can come up with some
Yeah,
language
it
here.
says that the regular meetings
Are
are
always on the last Wednesday
the
of the month.
last
somewhere
Wednesday
else
of the
in here.
month. That's in section 4.
I would let the two of you work
And a
through the
place to be
language.
designated,
Uh-huh.
So can,
and let it go at that.
Mm-hmm.
But put when our regular meetings are, we meet
Somewhere
And it
else in
should
this
be-
document, it says
It says it in
last
section
Wednesday
4.
of the month.
Uh-huh.
And also the board
Right here,
committee,
that's in this section.
In
the
section
board
4, it
committees
first
shall
says.
meet monthly, the board committees,
Mhm.
as often as may be required to carry out the responsibility and purpose of the authority. The board shall provide by resolution the date, time, and place. Do we need that?
Well, we don't need the board monthly, we're not having a PAC meeting next month. So that's not really right.
Well, this says for as often as may be required, so you don't have to do it.
Right.
I
We
think
have
that's
to,
good.
we have to do that for legal purposes. I don't know that it has to be a part of our bylaws. Why are we repeating it in our bylaws if we know legally?
Well, because this is the bylaws that
Yeah. And I think,
were given to us.
yeah, I think to Brian's point, it says that you basically have a meeting the last Wednesday of every month. So it's sort of restrictive, so if you give yourself a little leeway, as you do with the committee meetings, where you say meet monthly or as often.
I agree.
Yeah, right.
So we'll, I think the first sentence is fine. We're gonna edit the last two sentences and get you some language that sort of more accurately reflects what actually happens.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right, and 5 is good, 6 emergency meetings, the chair of the board, emergency meetings, 7 written public notice of the time and date, that's right, okay. Section 8.
And just
quorum.
so, just to clarify something there, it says that we'll send out a calendar at the beginning of the calendar year. I do that, but then I also send out notices on Monday
month.
before the meetings on
Right,
Wednesday.
Right,
So we
absolutely.
cover that.
All right, section 8 is quorum. Okay, section 9, compliance with freedom of information, that's good. Section 10, committees. The board then in office may create one or more committees. The board chair. Board chair, have you been doing the committee meetings, board chair? Rob?
I'm reading them.
No, I said, have you been?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Just
In
asking.
fact, we made a small change this year
Yep.
with service pack and
Mhm.
Right, and I've been doing that.
But each committee, the last line of section 10, each committee shall have a staff liaison.
Yes.
Do you know who those people are?
We have that.
We have that, it's at the end of the.
It's
end of the
listed,
calendar.
it's the last
On this
column
thing.
on the list of
Column.
committees.
Yeah,
Like, I'm the staff liaison for the bylaws committee.
on the,
Okay.
Brian and I.
I need another copy of that.
I'll email it to you.
All right, thank
I'll
you.
email it to you.
Yeah.
no, it's not
Not on
on that.
that one, not on
And I
No,
also
only
need,
appointed.
all
Okay.
the names on the board. I seem to have misplaced
I'll,
mine. I don't
I'll
know.
send all of that to everybody
All
again,
right.
so you'll have it.
Okay, thank you.
Same section 10, keep minutes of proceedings. Do we keep minutes of finance and service pack?
No, because we have the reports in the board meetings.
Well, is that,
That's the
do we need
report.
it?
We used to, didn't we, years ago? Many
We
years ago.
used to,
Yeah,
because the way things were reported in the board meetings,
we used to have
they
someone
weren't
that did it
always
for
the
us.
same.
We did, yeah, we did, had someone
Mhm.
do it for us. We
So
had
why
a-
do we tie our
And-
hands by saying
Yeah, we
minute?
should
We should
take
just
that
change
sentence
that, will be,
Okay,
discussions will be
Yeah.
included in the reports to the next board meeting. or
and to
something.
be honest, the auditors
Good point.
used to require us to have separate minutes for finance committee, and they quit doing that,
Well, I think we should.
because we have.
I don't think we should tie our hands
we
if
should
we don't
strike
do it
that last
anyway.
Yeah.
Where is that, section 10?
Yeah.
It's, yeah, right above section 11 in that last paragraph in section 10, it says
Okay.
committees shall keep minutes of their proceedings.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I just,
We don't
either way.
need to do
All
that.
right, take that out, all right.
And just so everybody's on the same page, we don't have enough people on those committees to constitute a quorum for the board.
No,
So technically, they don't have to be public meetings.
Yeah.
Right.
We do create them as public meetings because oftentimes more than
More
the
people
majority of the
come,
board.
right.
Right.
All right.
yeah.
Compensation plan, where is our compensation plan? Did we ever get it?
No, we're working on it, but
Alright.
this section 11 is different, and I think we need to refine this language. Section 11 is about me, or the general manager.
Yeah,
And
and
it
that,
should say, the board shall conduct a performance review and approve compensation for the general manager CEO. It's not a compensation plan, it's just my compensation.
all right, all right, all right.
Have we ever,
All right, no,
Yeah,
take
no.
plan out, take plan out, right?
I think you're right, Brian. That's a good point.
Shall conduct
And then
And
we'll-
approve.
a performance review
And approve
and
compensation.
approve compensation for the general manager.
So that should come out in the committee meeting?
We're on section 11.
That's
We're
in
doing
section 11,
now.
Section 11.
Oh,
where it says general manager's compensation plan.
Page 8 towards the bottom.
Compensation plan, see Article 7.
So
Yeah.
12 is the total compensation plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know
why
that,
we need that
I
in
don't think
there.
you need that section here because it is
No.
addressed later.
No, no.
I mean, it's even citing it.
Right,
See article.
so
I think it's
I don't,
like 12.
probably
think you can
doesn't
just
take
strike 12.
12 out, right. Okay, page 9. Finance application use of funds. Anybody have anything on that?
I have a couple.
All right.
First of all, I'm not sure about the,
So if you want to write home, get it now.
I'll get it right home.
Okay.
I'll call Ray. I'll take it.
I can take it, Brian.
And then I
Okay,
can
thanks.
schedule.
yeah, I'm not sure why we have a semicolon in the title of this.
Where?
It's after finances.
Application and use of funds,
Does anybody know the history of this?
I think that should have been
a comma.
a colon.
Oh, a colon.
Finances, application and use of
Right.
funds.
A
Okay.
semicolon means the and,
Yeah.
a colon means explain
I think
further.
it should have
Yeah.
been, should be a colon.
So it should be a colon, and then I think it should be application for and use of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're governing our efforts to go after it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And so then I didn't have anything else until section 7 on the annual audit. I want to just add, I'm not sure what the terminology is, but the terminology has changed on what the audit is. It's a single audit, and it's now it used to be A133, but whatever the regs say the audit needs to be, we need to put that in there. So we'll get you some language on that.
Good.
All right. 8, expense reimbursement, that's, Perry County Business Authority, may be authorized by the authority may reimburse the director for each expense incurred in. Expense
So-
of what? What kind of expense?
I think it's a travel expense.
That's your travel expense, your mileage reimbursement.
Oh, okay, all right, all right.
You see, Brian, are you still the secretary and treasurer?
Well, I want to talk about that, but I think that's later on in the document.
No, it's
Yes.
on page 10, I'm sorry.
We're on page
Is it?
10, right. General manager, CEO.
Yeah, does the board need a treasurer?
No,
No,
board has
because,
no money.
no, because we have a finance
Yeah, so
committee,
you-
we have a finance
Double.
chair, so we don't need that
So it probably should just be the secretary.
secretary, right?
Unless you want to put like Ron.
Well, I remember in the bank the other day, they asked
CFO to be
you,
the treasurer. I mean, you can, but
But we don't have.
it's not necessary.
in the bank, they asked you, and you said, yes, I'm secretary also, but I didn't hear them ask if you were treasurer. So the bank signature forms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, they don't, obviously don't care about who the treasurer is, they
No,
just want to know
well,
who
they're
the
just a bank.
secretary is.
Okay,
She did make a point for secretary though.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it-
Review the
yeah.
So that's,
performance.
yeah,
The
important.
board shall review the performance of the general manager, CEO on an annual basis. Yes, we do that. And, general manager. Someplace there, we change it, the date and all on that. That is,
Oh, and when the review takes place?
that was, yeah, Article 7. No, that's vice chair.
I think if you want to put a date in, it ought to be where we,
By date.
It just says annual, it doesn't say when, it's
Where
not
again?
specific.
Well, we have a place where it does say, let's say over here, election of,
What
that's
page?
election of
What
vice
page?
chair.
Yeah.
Annually
Page.
developed, pardon me?
Page
Wait a minute.
number.
Time out.
What page?
I think what you're talking about, Kitty, would be, if you're gonna put a date, it needs to go in section 11 back on page 8, where you talk about the performance review and compensation.
Okay, all
If
right.
you wanna put a date in there, I don't think you need to.
I thought we did, we had two
I mean, it's-
changes, where were the changes now? Let me see.
Number
One
11.
was-
Number 11.
One was Article 7 to be changed as correspond with our fiscal year. And Article 8, Section 2, election. So it has to be Article 7, Section 2. That's up further.
Yep.
All right, that is changed, that,
Section 2,
we're here we are.
Is that on page 10?
No,
Section 2, that's election of vice chair,
that's on page
2
12.
chair.
No,
That's on page chair, at page 12. Oh,
All right, so page 10, which is where we were,
Term of
we're removing the treasurer term.
Yeah, let me ask you this with regards to that. So, looking through some of that, some of it does deal with funds, but I'm just trying to figure out what was the reason for it having secretary treasurer. So for instance, it says, on page 13, section 9, secretary/treasurer shall be the custodian of the funds of the authority and shall cause records and also have financial reports. So I'm wondering if that was the reason for calling you also treasurer.
I have notes on
Yeah.
page 13 where I take that away from the treasurer and hand it to the GM, because it's
Oh,
all
okay.
repeated.
Uh-huh.
It's all repeated. I mean, my next comment is actually on GM, page 11N. I don't require an annual audit.
where is the,
I just make sure that it happens.
where is the section where we say that in, for your yearly compensation, we start in August?
I don't think it does.
It doesn't.
I thought we had it in here, no? It should be in here.
No, it
I
started in
think it
May.
should.
I don't-
because-
No, we didn't start in May because we changed it to fiscal year. We wanted everything to go along with fiscal year. So we started in August or before that,
Right.
and then you would be paid in September if there was any increment or anything.
Well, now, we did change the fiscal year
Yes.
in
No.
here
I
last
think those,
time.
those dates only relate to
Yeah.
the election of your chair and
Okay,
Yeah.
vice chair.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
You're on page 11.
so page
Brian.
11 and about a third of the way down, I think we just say that ensures that an annual audit is performed,
What number?
number N, letter N.
Requires
Because I'm not requiring that the audit be done. I'm just making sure that it happens.
Well, to take out require and put it in sure.
Yeah.
That an annual audit is performed and reviewed by the board.
Right, I'd leave it in.
No, I'm not taking it out, Joe,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just
Is
saying,
Performed
I'm just gonna make sure that it happens. I'm not requiring it. It's not my requirement.
and
It's,
reviewed.
it's a
and
federal requirement.
And
Okay.
reviewed
All right.
by
Okay,
the board.
yeah.
Well, we can make that federal.
All right.
Brian, when do you get around to doing letter Q? We've kind of already blown past the compensation, but when, we probably should have done that at the same time.
I think we have some. There's some
Measurable
goals.
annual performance.
I did accomplishments and goals,
Okay.
so they're out there. I can just resend those if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah, we got those, right. That's how we filled out the form.
Yeah, but I'm saying for next year.
Oh.
So I have notes about the secretary treasurer a year later, that there may be some things that push back to this,
Right.
but that's all I had on, everything else looks good
That's
on
up
the
on page
GM
13.
stuff.
All right, board officers. Anything on that?
Isn't that the one where we changed the election?
Yes.
We did
Section,
that in section 2.
section 2, yeah, we need to change those dates.
Nominations shall be accepted at the August meeting. Elections shall be by secret ballot and by a majority of all board members in attendance or in participation by telecommunications in September.
Love to know how they do that.
Okay, nominations.
No, they don't.
By
Nominations be
telecommunications.
accepted
We had,
in
we
August.
put it there because someone
So the
wanted
first
it
month
there.
should be September?
And we might want to move that up a month and have the election, if the new board would take over October 1st,
Right.
you might want to have the election in August, not September, because then the new chair would take over 2 days late. Well, no, he would take over.
No,
as
what you
chair.
do is,
Yeah, okay.
Accept it in
you
August.
do
and
the
he-
nominations in August,
Yeah,
you do
okay.
the vote in September.
And he takes over the end of September.
Yep,
First
at
of
the
October.
September board meeting,
He's installed.
As vice chair,
Rob
yeah.
would pass the gavel to Mr. Icoff, because
Right.
as of
Vice chair.
October 1st, he's
Yes,
the,
so he
he's
knows
the
he's willing
new
to
chair.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Okay,
A year.
something like
2
that.
years in advance.
Because if you
2
don't,
and a half.
if you don't do it that way, it looks like you have a month that you don't have a
That's
chair.
right, that's right, that's right.
Yeah,
And you
okay.
can't
Maybe it's just been regarding.
I was forgetting that from my
regarding
hate to see this board without a chair.
Speakerphone. 3, we already do that, section 3.
I was gonna say it wouldn't matter.
The chair or vice chair review, 2/3 vacancies. A vacancy is an office because of death, resignation, removal, disqualification, and otherwise may be filled for the unexpired portion of the term by a person designated by the appointing authority. The board shall direct a letter asking for said replacement. The board
Yes.
does that. Okay,
Yes.
all right,
And that's what we did for,
right.
replacing Deb
Mhm.
and also replacing, Sid
Sid.
when he retired and
Right,
decided to quit.
Vice chair shall perform the duties of chair in the absence of the chair, blah, 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 blah.
It is unless the GM is running the meeting.
Okay.
Which he often does, or tries to, often attempts to do.
All right, page 13,
Typically
any
fails
changes?
miserably.
We want to, let's see, secretary treasurer, we want to take treasurer out of there, right?
Twice.
Twice. take
Yeah, let's see here,
twice.
so we're on page 13?
So you're
13,
gonna take out treasurer.
Section 8
Both
is
times, right.
repeated several times in
Yeah.
the body.
Page 13?
Actually, it starts on 11.
Yeah, right
I think
there,
it was the first time.
section
yeah.
8.
Oh, yeah.
That's at 11.
11,
And
yeah.
it should say the secretary shall be the GM CEO.
Oh, yeah, 11, the office of the board.
Yeah, you start at the beginning of the section.
It's on section 9 too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
section 9 can come out. Because custodian of the funds and providing monthly reports and getting the CPA review all happens under GM. And I just looked and double checked that.
Right, right.
So I don't think we need section 9
Okay.
at all.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Of course, that's,
Yeah, that's
Records
right.
and
Because it
We
says in section 8, the secretary shall be the GM CEO. Who
But
shall?
it's just repeating everything
Do
that's
all
under
that.
the GM CEO stuff.
every meeting of the board and see that corporation books of accounts or reviews at least once a year by their, this is.
Ultimately, you're responsible as the as the
Right,
GM.
and it says
Yeah,
it in the
but these
GM
are
section.
board,
And I
yeah, but
think it's
this is board
redundant.
offices
Right.
here.
I think it's redundant
And
because you are the
And
secretary treasurer.
well, and
Okay.
these are treasurer type.
Right.
I don't think he's an
Things.
officer, because he would be voting if he was an officer.
What, he's
He
listed
is
as
the
an officer.
It's an officer, it's ad hoc, it's,
But I
But he
think
doesn't
it's
vote
not a
in
voting,
privileges.
it's not voting.
I think the question here in removing it is whether or not going forward, will we always want the GMCO to be that secretary treasurer? Or do you see in the future someone else holding that role?
Well, I think we
Never
just take care of it
take it
current,
out.
what's
Yeah.
current here.
I don't think so. And I think the secretary stuff is really everything that I basically do through Monette. It's your duties here is,
Right, but
you know, the minutes, and
I'm
I'm
really the
responsible to make sure that they
secretary.
Why don't we
happen.
delete
And I think
section
that
8?
is the role of a secretary.
Why don't we delete section 8 and 9?
Well, I think we need section 8 as
Yeah.
just secretary.
But section 9 is the Citizens Advisory Committee, you wanna change that?
No,
No, section 9 on page 13, the
Oh.
smaller section 9.
Oh.
And you don't think we need the title treasurer? You feel like everything we do, the secretary is the one who will sign off at the bank or wherever else, just to
Yep,
ensure minutes were reporting all that stuff.
right.
Okay.
You know,
now-
So get rid of section
Keeping,
9
I mean, it's
altogether.
keeping records, it's keeping, you know, what
Yeah, I
what we
have
do
that
on
omitted,
resolutions.
omit.
Basically everything
Take
that
out the
Lynette
next
does.
2 lines, because they're an
All right,
extension
now
of
we're on page
Exactly.
14.
So we're striking everything in section 9.
Yep.
That's right.
And everywhere it
Section
says
10
treasurer,
becomes
And we're
section
taking
And
9.
treasurer out of
citizen
the
treasurer,
document.
Yeah.
and, right, and let's see, Article 9, Citizens Advisory Committee, we gonna change the name of that? We don't have that
We're gonna
committee?
delete it.
I think it should be deleted.
We had this discussion before,
Yeah,
and I think
we
we
did.
leave it alone.
Mhm.
It
But
says
don't
if
call
it
it
becomes
something-
necessary, in the first sentence.
We changed it
And
already.
if it gets to a point where
Oh, that's
we're
true.
adding new,
Should it become necessary?
new
Yeah.
cities or something like that, we may wanna resurrect this stuff.
Mhm.
And you
So I
wanna
think
call
we
it the
just-
same thing?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we do a, what we're calling a SAG, Service Advisory Group.
Yeah.
And that is made up of riders and drivers, and we haven't had a meeting in a while, we need to have a meeting, but
At least a
is
year.
sort of what we're doing.
Do
And
we need
that's
to,
more unofficial.
do we need the quantify the 15 and 6 at large? Is that overly restrictive? Even if you decided to reconvene it, why would you tie your hands if you're gonna have 15 members? You may not want to.
That was, Rob and Mr. Silverman, felt like it needed to be changed, and we limited it to that number.
Right.
No, you're
Of
limited,
people.
you're limiting us. I mean, if you ever resurrect this thing, and you only want 10 people, you're violating your bylaws.
Well, I don't think we should now
Each
be specific.
municipality-
I don't either, I don't know why we need to put the 15 and 6 in there.
Well, how about will consist of up to 15 members?
That's fine.
I have no problem with that.
Okay. Because then you can have 10, 12, however many.
Or never convene it, and you have
And-
0.
Exactly.
Anything else on that?
You gonna say the same thing about the 6 at large?
Yeah, let's think about this. Let's,
I think this is,
I think each
What
board
is the
member
6
can
at law?
appoint a representative. I think that makes some sense, because
Mhm.
presumably you would be picking someone that kind of matches up to your constituency. So I don't think we need each municipality will be represented, because that sort of happens with the board members.
Yeah.
yeah,
it
Bernie
is.
appointed me.
Let's take that out.
But what I'm thinking of is, like, when we do finally roll North Myrtle Beach into, we have North Myrtle Beach representative. So are there any cities out there or locations where we might want to engage them
Loris,
in this?
Bucksport.
Loris, Bucksport, Andrews.
Little River?
So, how about a sentence that just, says that the board will strive to,
Just say we'll be representative of the service areas.
Yeah, I
we'll
like that
strive,
better.
strive to
Because if not, you're gonna have.
design the
Burgess is
committee
gonna
to
want one.
represent the
All right,
service
what are you
area,
gonna
something
take
like that.
out? What are you taking out?
Taking out each municipality will be represented.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
And then
you're gonna do
Lynette and
that
I will come up
anyway.
with a sentence that kind of
Yeah.
matches up to what Rob just said.
Let me go back for a second, and I'm reading from the enabling legislation, section 582535. Members of the authority, this is a state law that makes the RTAs. Section 6, the authority may employ an executive director who may serve as secretary or treasurer to serve at the pleasure of the authority. So,
Who may, who
does that
may.
change anything?
That doesn't say that he has
No,
to.
this is for, the authority may employ an executive director who may serve as secretary or treasurer.
Or,
I think if you all had
Doesn't have
a
to be
management
both.
firm, you might need a treasurer.
say again?
If you employed a management firm to run the service, then you might need someone that's on the board
As treasurer.
as a treasurer.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you wait till that happens.
But you wait, I think.
And I think this doesn't require a treasurer.
You can also have whoever's chair of the finance
We
committee.
were discussing that earlier in our
Right.
executive session, in case you dropped dead, Brian. How are we gonna handle that? So, we don't want to anticipate
Let's
that.
hope that doesn't happen.
When we get up to 500 employees, we may need a treasurer.
Well, yeah.
All right, so we don't need a treasurer. I mean, we.
But if
Yeah.
something
may have-
happens to him immediately before we get a temporary replacement, the board chair.
The board
is
chair
the one
takes
who
over
takes
those
over.
duties.
Right.
That's what we did last time.
Right.
Bernie would do it again.
No, I don't think Bernie would.
You did it for what, 4 days, and that was enough, wasn't it, Mr. Silverman?
I didn't do anything, yeah, but, yeah.
But he did update his resume.
Yeah.
Acting general manager.
All right, let's see, we're in Article 10.
What page?
Page
Page
14, contracts, loans, checks, and deposits.
All right.
Any changes there?
Just making sure it doesn't mention the treasurer. I think
Section 2 will say, as may be allowed under South Carolina law and by the Horry County Council.
Under section 4, I had a question as to what kind of insurance.
Just joking.
I don't even.
We keep professional liability insurance for all of the board members.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
On-
we
on
did
the-
have that.
On this deposit, what, how many people you have collecting Fed? When you work in the room back there?
Yeah, we have about 5 different individuals, only 2 or 3 are in there at one
Yeah.
time.
You have 2 or
But you
3
have-
counting at a time.
2 or 3 in at a time.
To
They're-
count the
They're
money.
under video surveillance,
Yeah.
so we don't need a bond. They don't need to be bonded.
But we do have bond insurance. A bond.
For cash handling?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
All the
Unless there's-
employees are bonded.
Well, they're covered by
Yeah.
liability.
They have to be
Because
individually
we
bonded.
keep getting something from a Bank of Tennessee or something like that. And I've asked about it before and it was bond insurance or like
Yeah,
everybody's bonded.
I'm not familiar with that policy.
Well, we should check that out, if we're paying for something, we ought to know what we're paying for.
I used to put it in Ron's box.
I think we might have talked about that many years ago, but
Ask Ron about it, because he's the one that gets it.
On the video, how often is the video,
it's not screened. I mean, we screen it if there's a problem.
Yeah.
If there's a
Money missing.
big chunk of money missing,
yeah,
then we screen it. And it's kept up for 14 days, and we're working on increasing that length of time.
The security to get into that room is very tight.
And you need 2 people always. Can't be one person in there by themselves.
One person keeps the key to I used to keep the keys to the room, but Ron had the key
To the box.
to the box, or the vault.
And those can never be in the possession of one person.
And then when you were in there, 2 people had to be in there together.
At least 2. You can never have one person left in there by themselves. If there's 2 counting and one has to go to the restroom, both have to go out and lock it back. Until
Those
that one comes
procedures
back.
were blessed by FTA.
They're
actually
very
Looked pretty
stringent,
good. And when we did FMO.
and we've never had a problem.
Yes.
never had a problem.
No, sir.
I remember when we first started this company,
You had some problems?
we had our CEO had a separate checking account in the bank.
Oh, you're
Right.
kidding.
Yeah, CEO, he had a separate checking account and the account had gotten up to $11,000.
This was here?
And we found,
Here?
yeah, and we found out about it. And the bank had to pay it back because the bank responsible shouldn't have let her.
Mm-hmm.
Putting fares in that
Right.
account?
Right.
We also had a CEO who used the Greyhound account as his personal account. The Greyhound, remember?
Yeah.
Candace is always one of the people
It's
that
a
there.
way, you know,
Yeah.
some people sit down for a month or 2, figure out how to do things and get rich overnight.
All you have to do is read the newspaper and you find people in agencies that
Oh, yeah.
have taken that month or 2
And,
and
and they haven't, I mean, they've been doing it for a year and a half and they didn't find out about it.
Well, just to explain to you how it's done, Candace runs a report. We were counting twice a week in the summer, on Monday and Friday. And she runs a report that tells us how much money is supposed to be in that safe, I call it, because it's like a safe, you can't get into it without that key. And that report, she does the deposit ticket for the bank, and then she and Tom Berta take it to the bank, get the deposit ticket, the receipt goes with that report, and that goes to Kathy.
Do we have a, Kathy leaves, do we have someone to fill in for her?
Not yet.
Are we going to get someone?
Is Kathy leaving
Yeah, she's
Yeah, she's
retiring. in April.
retiring.
in April?
well, her position is in the budget.
Right.
Her mother's 97 years old
Mhm.
in Massachusetts. She's got to go up and see her.
We'll advertise that
Well,
locally
now,
only.
and one thing about the same person,
Kathy, yeah,
Yeah,
Kathy.
I'm not sure, no, I'm
Who
gonna
the-
put it out on.
who's the HR person?
No, that's Pam.
No, that's Pam. That's Pam Bellamy.
Oh, that's Pam.
Yeah.
Kathy, well.
She does
Kathy
finance.
Hennessy.
She's been
She
there for
used to do
years.
payroll until we got
Okay, yeah,
straight.
right, okay.
Still
She
does it.
payroll.
Yeah, okay.
I better re-say that, because she still does it.
Okay, let's
So-
get
So
moving
where are we on
this.
here?
Article
What page?
11, amendments,
What page?
15.
page 15.
All right.
These bylaws may be amended and repealed, new bylaws may be adopted, but that's only formality, correct?
Yeah, that's good.
Article 12, regulations, business conduct affairs, the authority should conform to federal and state income tax, that's a formality, but. Article 13, seal, oh.
We do not have a
We
seal.
don't have a-
We've
so
never
why do-
had a seal.
So why do we have Article 13 in here?
Well, that's gonna go. when
We don't have to
Because it
renumber
was in there
everything.
before and said we,
Did we ever have a seal?
no.
No. So we're going to
So-
admit that, we're
Some-
going to
We're
get
gonna
that
take
out?
Somebody,
that out.
somebody was going by the bylaw
Mhm.
playbook,
Yeah.
and it had a seal
Pretty
in
much.
there.
That's right.
So you could
Like a corporate
I-
seal.
I
We don't
did
have a
these-
corporate
I
seal.
did
We
these
don't
We're not
renumber
corporate.
everything.
No.
Are you
I
gonna
did these
renumber everything?
18 years ago, and we went by that book.
Yeah.
Are you gonna renumber
So-
everything after
so
that?
we gotta-
I would.
Yes, they'll be
I think
renumbered.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
one of the reasons
renumber.
why you leave it in here is because of references.
Yeah,
But we'll check for references and make sure that if any of
Article
these
14
articles change.
Article
Yeah.
14, dissolution,
Dissolution.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna do that.
Article-
That's never gonna happen.
14, 13?
Can we just go back to that? I think there are good reasons why you don't want to renumber everything after this point. I think that then you have to date the
Yeah.
bylaws and all sorts of
Yeah.
things. Just either skip it or leave it the way you've got it in there.
now always put a
Yeah,
date
but-
so we know the
But
new
even
is.
so, any documentation, any reference that says, I want to check Article 14,
Well, maybe we put Article 13 seal,
just no longer in use or something.
and that's what we've already
Yeah,
got.
I was
We
just
already have that.
Article removed, no longer in use. I'm like you, I think we leave that
I think you do.
because you don't want to renumber it, because then somebody new coming in,
They're gonna look in the
they're
wrong
not gonna
place.
have a clue.
Okay,
Okay.
I
Article,
think we just keep it
all right,
as
Article
it is.
14, then we're gonna pass on that. Article 15, miscellaneous, any male noun or any male noun or pronoun.
Should really say any male or female noun or pronoun,
Referring
He
to
or
a
she.
person of either sex, all right.
Mhm.
but it should say any male or female noun or pronoun.
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna be politically correct in the future,
Yeah.
Yes, any male
or
slash
female,
female,
there you go.
right. And we don't call them chairmen, they're chairpersons. Article 16,
Well, that's what it means by male noun. If you've got chairman,
It's okay, just put
Yeah.
male slash female.
Okay.
You're right, if we edit it and we say she somewhere, we want it to mean the same
and
thing as
then
he,
that
so that's
must be
fine.
either way, measure remaining provisions invalid. Okay,
So there's another one, Article
Or
8,
page-
Article 17 also just is a holding point.
17,
right.
all
this
right.
way.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with that, that's fine.
Executive committee no longer exists.
Mhm.
Funding development,
The executive committee consisted of the chair, the vice chair,
Previous chair.
and
When
the
did-
previous
When did we
chair
take that out?
oh,
last time.
We took it out because we really thought that it was not appropriate
Okay,
for
that certain
this
people
age.
knew what
Yeah.
was going
That-
on and
that's
others
exactly
did
right.
not.
so
Well-
we're just, when we do an emergency meeting, we're inviting everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the
It's fine.
executive committee could make
Decision.
decisions in an emergency
Without having a forum.
But we
without
But
having
we
a
were
quorum.
using it, it was being used inappropriately.
Yeah.
It was,
I don't think it was ever really used, was
it
it?
was used because I went to many meetings.
Twice, I think, at
Well, I
least.
went to many meetings even before you
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
And it was used inappropriately just to get
Mhm.
people to agree to
Well,
things.
all
Just to
right,
get
let's-
something
let's move
done
on.
that they wanted to sneak through, basically.
We don't have to dig
Absolutely, you said
into
it.
old times.
All right, now, Article 18 committees,
Yeah.
this funding development, I have here that it
I don't
should
think
be
that's
admitted,
needed.
should be taken out.
Shall maintain 4 primary
where's the 4?
committees.
Well,
We
nothing adds
really
up.
only have 3.
Like I say, the 4 is wrong, I don't know
Uh-huh.
what a primary is, and nothing,
It was 4 before we
Should be 2.
combined the service
there's
impact
3
committee.
plus 2 on the sheet,
Well, now you got ad hoc.
well, there's 3 plus 2.
So let's label
You
the
got
top
the primary.
primary. Label, where you have ad hoc committees, put a sentence above the other table that says primary.
Yeah.
I don't think we necessarily need to say that they're comprised of 5 members.
Well, they're not, because we only have one
There's
committee with
yeah,
5
yeah,
on it.
2 of them are 4, so I think you can take that sentence out. And then I think we ought to add a provision that basically allows for a temporary committee to address issues that
Yeah.
arise.
Yeah, I agree.
You mean instead of the funding committee?
Or instead of
No.
executive committee.
No, just,
No, just,
as an ad hoc.
the board shall maintain 3 primary committees, or you can just say
Right.
5 committees. Because there's 5 of them down here.
Yeah. Well,
Whether they're primary, ad hoc. it
Yeah,
doesn't
but
matter.
aren't you going to delete funding
so
development?
there'll be
Yes.
4
No.
then.
No,
You're not?
Yes, we don't need a
It's still
funding
stored at
development.
Well, I don't know, we have
We
board
don't need it
members
right
who
now,
think-
but we might.
it was kind of redefined
Mickey chairs that,
last
right?
time we went through it.
Yes.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think it ever
What do you
ran.
say, who you wanted it deleted?
Honestly, after the way the agreement with the county ended up, we're gonna need to go out for
Well, I'm fine with me to keep it, I mean, if it doesn't meet, it doesn't meet. I mean, name on it.
So I think you need that.
And I think if you group them all 5,
For the
as
referendum.
Brian said,
Okay, that would make sense.
defining what's ad hoc
We
is
still
up
need that
to you.
committee,
Yeah,
but it was,
But it is sort of ad
decided
hoc.
that it would be
Right, it's an ad hoc committee,
Okay.
or a
reformulated.
Make a
Well,
committee.
then it should be down the bottom as an
Well, but
ad
we
hoc.
said we're just gonna have 5 committees.
You're
not
going to
gonna
have
be-
to move it if it's an ad hoc.
So yeah, let's do that. Let's say 5 committees, nope, not primary. We'll
5,
take the headings off
Mhm.
and just put them all in there. And
5
then
committees.
remove the
Okay.
sentence that talks about how many members, because
Okay.
that's outlined by the table.
Mhm.
And then we just need a sentence that says, the chairman may establish a temporary committee to address issues that arise, I put in here.
Yeah, I agree. And it's
Are we
really
saying
do
it?
more of the background research on it, not to have any voting power per se that affects the board.
All right,
The board
Now-
chair will.
now you
And
have
you,
this
I mean,
funding,
that's a good point, Rob, and you might put a sentence in here that these committees only recommend
That's,
to the full board, make
Right.
recommendations to the full
Mhm.
board. So we'll add a sentence to that.
Yes.
all right, now you have this funding development as an ad hoc, So
We're
you
gonna
have to
get-
move it, so
we're
you're
gonna
gonna have
get
to
rid of
move it
the
down
whole
to the
ad hoc.
bottom.
Well, I think
We're
they want
getting
to
rid
get
of ad hoc.
the ad
We're
hoc
just gonna put
title.
one table down there.
Oh,
Yeah, just have all
oh,
5
oh, you want,
listed.
all right, okay.
It used to say when they would meet, and for the ad hoc committees, we would say as appropriate or as
Yeah,
needed,
yeah.
but we took that out too.
All
Now,
right.
do we want to keep the number of representatives on the committee?
no.
I don't
Keep
think
those
you need
numbers
any
in
of
there?
that, because those
No.
numbers
Okay.
change from time to time, I
Okay.
think you
Yeah.
should
Take
delete
that
all
out.
those.
I need to see that sentence you had.
Just, you can have this.
Okay.
Give this to me.
Cool, thank you.
This is so cathartic going through this.
I know, it is.
Okay, now we finished that
Feel
now?
the catharsis coming.
It makes you look back and it's like, what
Like
the
that
hell
all
were
over
we
your chest?
thinking?
We're on page 18, conflict of interest. We send out, we
This is just a funny little.
get a form every year, and we,
Yeah, okay,
That we're not required to sign.
yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the dumbest form I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, fill it out.
I mean, you
don't
fill
sign
it out and you don't have to sign it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You put your name on it though.
Oh, you
Yeah.
put my name on
Your
it.
name is on the top, the
You
first
put
page.
your name
No, I
on it.
didn't, you
You
did.
didn't put it anywhere?
No.
You put it somewhere. I think you filled that whole thing out.
Squabbling, the two of you.
I thought, look
I
at
know.
I think your
Well, I
interests are
usually-
moving a little bit, maybe they're in conflict.
I usually sign it at the end, I put
I
my
do too.
name on it, because why fill out something and not put your name on it?
Yeah, I do too, guys, I think it's a
Yeah.
mistake, but there's no line there for my name.
All
I
right,
thought my name's printed
What
on
I
there,
may
but no
do is-
signature.
Take it and redo it because what it is a copy of a copy of a copy somewhere down the line. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking we'll take it and just retype the whole thing. And I'll put a place to put your
Available.
name and date.
Well, if you
And
do, you
please
gotta
sign.
tell me, the section on there, it says, have I ever received a meal paid for, but an AARP pays me for my meals? And you told me not to list, I'd have about 50 on there. You told me to
It's-
leave that section blank, and if I
No,
didn't,
yeah.
Only if it would be a conflict of interest.
didn't say that.
well, the
If
whole
you-
That's the
thing,
name of the form.
the whole form is conflict of interest. I don't put on mileage, I don't put mileage on.
We are off topic, folks.
That's not a conflict of interest
I know, I
though, because
know.
in the bylaws.
All right.
We are in the
Robert's-
bylaws committee.
Robert's rules,
Yeah.
or 18, Robert's rules, fine. Article 21, absentee voting, The authority has authorized and adopted an absentee voting policy by which members of the board shall be allowed to vote either in person or by telephone. You're finished.
What about by email?
Any? No.
No,
Any complaints?
Yeah, how do you vote in secret if you do it by telecommunication?
That's what I asked earlier.
Think about it. If Mickey's not here when we vote in September, and he wants to call in.
The problem with that was that we put in that because people didn't want their next door neighbor to know that they voted for them or they didn't vote for them.
Oh,
So
so
it was
it
done
wouldn't be in writing
by,
anyway.
so it was done by paper vote.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because
just the provision in there that if you don't want other people to know how you voted, it's,
Don't
you
show
can
up.
figure out a way not to do that, to make it private.
So Marvin won't get mad when I don't vote for him.
Correct.
yours.
He won't know.
Oh.
He won't know because it's
Oh,
private.
Marvin, we're going to move you up, Marvin.
if somebody
You're going up.
knows that they're not going to be here to vote for vice chair,
He should give you a proxy vote.
send me an email giving me permission to put your
Yeah.
vote in there.
That makes
And I
sense.
would not tell anybody who you
Like
voted
that,
for.
yeah.
I feel like I do when my wife talks about her next husband after I die. You know, the next husband is gonna have to fill in the blank.
I used to say that, but I don't want an next one.
Yeah, I asked my wife, she would get my golf clubs
I
and
mean,
it does.
61 years is enough for anyone.
That's a whole new set of
He's
problems.
waiting in the garage.
Enough for anyone. If I were maybe 50, I would think about it,
Dear me.
to support me, but that's about it.
All right, folks, I
I
gotta.
don't want to support them.
Very good.
All right.
That was good. I think we made
All
some
right.
good changes.